Hey there, what's everyone out there on social media? It is I, Dr. Jason Pape, chiropractor extraordinaire, coming at you live. It is Tuesday night at about 7:40 in the PM on the Eastern Daylight Time. So tonight, folks, we got a little message for you about bloating and the gut. Bam! Unlocking the secrets behind bloating and digestion. We're going to talk about that thing I like to talk about called your gut, folks. Let's go back to this just for now and let's say hi. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Jason Cape, chiropractor extraordinaire, bringing you education, information, motivation, inspiration on the regular. If you have never seen me before and this is your first time watching, please put a number one in the comments below and let me know where you're watching from. And if you have seen me before and have come back for more, put a number two in the comments below. And if you want to tell me where you're watching from, feel free. I don't want to feel left out because you're not a newbie. So I bring you education, information, motivation, inspiration on the regular. Last week we did some inspiration and motivation. This week, a little more education. So if you'd like to follow us more on any of our socially stuff, you can click on our little link tree right here. Bam, boom, there it is. And I'll put even a little bit of a little scrolling of the same information right there underneath us on the old ticker. And as always, if you want to ever find out who I am, where we are the Vitality Center. Boom, boom. The one-stop holistic shop, only one of its kind, right here on Long Island. So if you're in the city or on Long Island somewhere and you'd like to come visit us, let us know. That's our contact information, phone number, and email. Or if you are someone who's not around here but would like to use our services, many of us do virtual. So anyway, functional medicine, things like that, we do virtual. So please, again, let me know. Say hi. Let me know you're all out there. And by the way, if you would like to say thank you or you think someone else might benefit from this, please share this out. Put it on your page, private message, in a group, in a post, whatever. Get it out there, folks. All right. So tonight we're talking about the gut because I've never talked about that before. So our lovely assistant manager made this nice slides for me today, unlocking the secrets behind bloating and digestion. So your gut is more than just where your food goes. Okay. Your gut is a big part of your immune system. It is 80%. Some say 70. I think we have a slide to 70. But a big repository of our immune system is here in our gut. And if this isn't good, if our gut's not good, I'm pointing at my stomach here. This thing is not good. And actually, it's one giant tube from mouth to anus. It is a large tube of stuff. If it's not good, you're not good. So any functional practitioner worth their weight in salt or gold or anything else they're worth their weight in need to work on your gut first. So let us go to our next slide here. Boom. So we're going to talk about the brain-gut connection, how gut can affect bloating, how about the immune system in your gut, and some of the top 4 foods that we want to cut out to help heal your gut. So let's start with that. Okay, the brain-gut connection. There is a large connection between our brain and gut. In fact, folks, they sometimes even call this the second brain. Some people think this brain is more important than this brain, if you can believe that. We all have gut instincts, things like that. It is a very important thing about what's going on. But I want you to understand that it is a very important way of how your system works. And a lot of times, our immune system can be considered our circulating nervous system. There's a lot of overlap between those two systems. And when this is not well, this is not well, and they talk to each other a lot. And let's talk about that. So I like to when I talk about the gut, I kind of talk about the gut. Think about your gut kind of like an upper middle class neighborhood, right? You got nice, well manicured lawns and white picket fences and neighbors that wave at each other, hi, and a well funded police force, right? If you were to not have the police anymore, what might happen to your neighborhood? Well, eventually the criminals might come in, right? The roving street gangs, whatever, selling drugs in the corner, whatever it is. And after a while, the neighborhood wouldn't look so nice, right? It goes downhill. So we need our good guys to kind of help keep the bad guys away and balance to keep our neighborhood optimal. That's part of it. Now imagine that after all that, you started dropping bombs in your neighborhood. Now your neighborhood looks like Afghanistan. And I don't think anyone's taking their kids there on a vacation. So we want to kind of heal the gut. And there's two main things that kind of affect the gut. All right. One is about not having the good guys. And two is about the things that are blowing our neighborhood up. So when we talk about the good guys, we talk about probiotics, all right? The good bacteria that live in our gut, that work, they're commensal bacteria, as we call them, that work symbiotically with our body for optimal function. So when the good bacteria are properly balanced and all those things in there, it helps us keep the bad guys at bay. We don't want infections coming in, helps us break down our food, helps us absorb our food to activate certain minerals, all right? And also is gatekeepers in our gap junctions to help make sure the right things get in and out of the body, all right? Those are just some of the things that they do. Now, when you take things like antibiotics, they are very indiscriminate. Antibiotics kill bad guys, right? That's why you take them, right? An infection. Sometimes they're very overprescribed for things that are not even bacterial, but antibiotics, antifungals, whatever. But they kill everybody. It's like chasing a bad guy into the mall and shooting everybody. All right. You get the bad guy, but you also get all the good guys. And if we don't replenish those good guys, that can lead to problems. So there are other things that kill our gut bacteria, right? Vaccines kill our gut bacteria. Stress kills our gut bacteria. Too much acid versus base. There are certain foods that are not good for our gut bacteria. There are certain artificial foods that are bad for our gut bacteria, such as artificial sweeteners like sucralose is something that kills our good bacteria. And listen, there's a normal sloughing off and kind of turnover period, but because our food sources have become very clean, if you will, and sanitation, all those other things that we are very thankful for in modern society, but we also don't eat fermented foods, we don't really get the good guys back in. So even if they naturally got knocked out, they're not getting replenished on their own. All right. And now you take in things that, more than 100 years ago really weren't here, antibiotics and vaccines and all these other chemicals and toxic exposures that are killing our good bacteria. It's even harder to kind of replenish. So a lot of times we have to take a good bacteria called a probiotic. All right. So there are good ones we can talk about. I might take a walk over to our supplement closet in a minute and show you a couple of things that we work with. But it's really important to replenish. Okay. So probiotics are good things we need to help restore some of that. But you can put the good guys back. But if you keep dropping bombs on the neighborhood, not going to matter. And at the same time, you stop dropping the bombs, right? Unless you put the good guys back in, it's still going to be a burnt out hull like, Afghanistan. So we need to stop dropping the bombs. So there are definitely certain food groups that can be very damaging to our intestinal tract. And there are three main ones that have some of the worst. And we're going to talk about that now. I'm going to go back to this slide here. Why is this not opening the slide? Hold on one second. Bam. So we talked about the brain-gut connection, all right? I kind of briefly touched on, we'll come back to the imbalances in there in a minute, and we talk about the guts and the immune system. So here's some of the foods we want to come back on. So dairy, wheat, soy, corn, all right? So dairy, wheat, and soy are the three big ones, and corn as well. And a lot of times because corn is very much a cross-reactive to wheat. There are more than this, but these are the 3 to 4 big ones that we really want to talk about cutting out. They are very inflammatory allergenic proteins that can definitely damage the gut, affect how our body kills our good guys off, affects how it can feed the bad guys. It can affect how our body is able to absorb nutrition and diet and dietary needs. So important stuff to think about there. I'm going to go back to my camera and we'll come back to gut health. So we need to sometimes cut those foods out as well. So a lot of times it's dietary change and some nutritional shifts. So I always start patients with a probiotic and a digestive enzyme to help them break their foods down, optimize their ability to absorb their fats, their proteins, their carbohydrates, as well as absorb their emulsify their fats so they can absorb them too, because oil and water don't mix and our blood is not oil. So we need to emulsify our fats to get them in the body. You need bile for that. Anyway, I digress. So one of the things we have to talk about is how the gut can become damaged. And what the biggest thing about the large intestine is that there's the colonocytes, the cells of the large intestine, the colon. They actually have these space. They have what's called gap junctions. There's spaces between them that they can open and close as needed to let food in. That's not the only way nutrition gets into the gut, but that's one of the main purveyors of how it gets in. And they will open and close as proper. But one of the things that helps man those gates are probiotics. So if your bad guys have taken over or your good guys aren't there, or you're blasting it with the bad proteins, well, these gap junctions can get kind of open. All right. And now things kind of get in and out. So if you're not breaking your food down optimally for many reasons, it could be about low stomach acid, it could be you don't have enough good bacteria, both, don't chew well, whatever it may be, these undigested food particles may wind up in the body, and because the gap junctions are open, they're not as discerning as letting things in and out of the castle, if you will, because the gates to the city are open. Undigested food particles get in. When your body sees that undigested food particle, now listen, it's not like, oh, there's an egg floating in my body. It means that we take an egg protein, we eat egg, we break it down, we start getting egg proteins, and then we start breaking them down to smaller chunks of peptides. And sometimes if they're not broken down small enough, those larger pieces that are still, the body still sees as foreign, get attacked by the body, and the body has a food intolerance now. Leaky gut. All right. Other things get in too. So the bad guys in the gut, a lot of times they hang out at these gap junctions, will let off toxins called LPS, lipopolysaccharides, which get into the body. They are very inflammatory toxic loads that can either cause inflammation here or other places. And when this is leaky, other semi-permeable membranes in the body become leaky, like lung tissue, asthmas, things like that, and your brain, your blood-brain barrier. Right? Inflammation here. Right? There's a lot of connection between these two areas, right? Like you talk about serotonin and dopamine and all these other neurotransmitters your brain needs, right? And people talk about serotonin mostly when it comes to like things like depression, the feel-good hormone, but it's not just about serotonin. There's many other things that are involved. Some research, even new research, even says not about serotonin at all. But hey, I digress. But serotonin is a big one. Well, when your gut's compromised, guess what is eating up all your serotonin? Because 95% of your serotonin is used here. Only a little bit here. Okay? So when your gut's compromised, guess where all your serotonin is winding up? No here. No. 50% of your dopamine, not here. So again, when the gut's compromised, we're going to change that neurotransmitter balance where it's going to be directed towards the gut. And in fact, when your gut's out of balance, the tryptophan that is used to make serotonin gets shuttled down another pathway more than it should, called the IDO1 pathway. And that in turn creates some inflammatory molecules called kynurenine acid or kynurenine, as well as quinolinic acid, which in your brain, it can be very inflammatory, anxiety producing, things like that. So we want to be very mindful of our balance, because if this is out of balance, this becomes out of balance. I'll pick it up. I'm putting down. If you are, put a number 3 in the comments below. And as always, if you think this might benefit someone, please feel free to share this out on your page, in a private message, in a group, in a post, whatever. Just do it. And or grab someone's eyeballs and just shove their face in front of this plate. Or if you're watching live or in replay, let me know. If you're watching replay, well, right now I'm live. But if you're watching replay, please write replay in the comments below. If you come in late and want to watch the whole thing, go back to the beginning on replay. Anyway, I digress. So some big important things there. Now let's talk a bit more about some of those symptoms that we see when the gut's out of balance. So imbalance in gut dysbiosis can cause more inflammation, we just talked about, and more gas. So the bad guys, when they break down food for you, because it's not being properly broken down by your digestive enzymes, and or the bad guys are getting to the food before your good guys, if there's no good guys especially, they can let off some gases that can cause bloating. And bloating can push this way or this way, which could also lead to things like reflux. Bad foods can cause reflux too, especially things like gluten, dairy, soy, corn. Take that on top of the gut, dysbiotic imbalance. There you go. When we have some other issues where we have poor motility, again, if the good guys aren't there, we can have lower motility. One of the biggest problems with the SIBO issue is getting things out of the small bowel. And SIBO is really a tough one to really get because it gets so lodged in that small intestine. And some things you do for the large gut are not great for the small gut, and vice versa. So things get trapped more, don't move through. We don't get good gastric motility. Things get backed up. You may get constipated, things like that. And emotional stress, that will also definitely fire up a slower digestion, right? As well as lower your digestive enzymes in your gut, because it causes more reflux, can kill some of the bad guys in your gut too. And remember, there's two halves to our autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system functions autonomously, okay? It controls things we don't think about, all right? So breathing, heart rate, digestion, right? And there's two halves to that system: sympathetic, fight or flight, or the vagus, which is your parasympathetic, or your rest and digest. So if you're too much in stress mode, guess what you're not doing? Digesting. You're not getting good motility. You're not getting good breakdown of food. You're not getting good absorption. All right, is that all making sense? So all important things to understand when it comes to overall gut health. And then if we go to slide number 4, again, we talk about immune system being in your gut. And again, gut lining is a big immune barrier to toxins and pathogens. Again, we don't want things that just come in your food, especially if they're not getting good, healthy food, into your body. All right. And our good gut bacteria help work with our immune system, and our immune cells actually function optimally. And again, inflammation in our gut can cause more chronic bloating as well, like we talked about before. So kind of cool stuff, right, folks? So if you're getting bloated, if you're having a lot of issues, especially with food, it's either the food you're eating and or your gut health is not well. So we want to help with that. So good probiotics, good digestive enzymes. So tell you what, I got a minute. Let's take a little walk, right? We're in the Vitality Center, folks. We'll just take a little walk through the Vitality Center, and hopefully we won't run into too many people on the way. Keep the door opening. But as we go through here, there's a little leak we had. Don't worry about my wet spot in the ceiling. I'll take you my little supplement closet here. So in here, we got a lot of good stuff. So one of the products I really love is a brand new probiotic I've been using called Tribiotic Plus from Biologent. So it's got very highly curated strains specifically for the gut-brain axis. It's pretty cool. So actually, while we're doing that, I'm going to change this QR code. So if you're interested in any of these products I talk about, there's my Biologent link. And if you need my full script link, I can put that there too. So right now, this is my Biologent link. So if you're interested in these products, my mentor, we did a whole video with her. This is great. So it's a number of curated strains plus some really proper pre and postbiotics, help with optimal feeding of the good bacteria as well as better absorption, things like that. So these are all things to help your body do its job best with the probiotics. So this is one of my great go-tos. I also use Clara Labs for a lot of stuff that's in the fridge down the hall. But I also use a digestive enzyme. So this is one of my go-to digestive enzymes. If you want to learn more about this one, I'll put this right here on this full script link. Boom, I'm going to change that link up top. It's just changed. So full script, just that's my link right there if you need to order anything like this. This is what I use, digestive enzymes. So it has good things to break down digestive enzymes, that break the food down, as well as emulsify the fats and even help rebuild stomach acid. So those are some of my good go-tos right there. And listen, if you really want to get into it, some other things too. And we have a lot of yeast, which is a big buildup. Sometimes we use things like monolaurin, monolaurin acid, which is a main component of coconut oil, can help kill those bad guys, especially yeast. We use this guy here for killing anything and everything, whether it's bad guys in your back to your gut or anything like that. I have a whole SIBO protocol I use from Ortho, which you can also get through there. So they have a binder to help mop up a mess. We've got the Phyto Pre, which is good for supporting a lot of those good healthy gut bacteria in the small bowel. Motility Pro, we talk about gut stream motility, moving things through. So even my patients who have some chronic constipation issues, this can be really helpful, getting things moving better. And this special type of probiotic they use for that, specifically Orthospore. And sometimes Sac B is really good for that too. So again, there's a lot of good stuff we use. I thought I'd throw those at you really quick as some options. I mean, there are some other things we use to feed the good guys in the gut. GlutatShield, which is basically glutamine, which helps feed the good guys, the colonocytes. So we like to feed on that. We're using this other thing called Ion Gut Restore. This one's a great one too. All this you can get from Full Script. This one is great for shutting down the gap junctions. Okay. So we love that as another option for us too there. So anything else in my cool closet? And if you're someone who just can't poop, there are some things you can do, magnesium, things like that. But this is a great product. We also have blister packs. You take this product, take one before bed, and by the next morning, you should be going to the bathroom. After a few days, if it's still not helping you, do 2 pills. But usually 1 pill is enough. It's pretty cool. And if you're having trouble stopping pooping, so you got some diarrhea, you want to shut down some of that more bad IBSD, we use things like this, Orthobiotic 100, which is really great for shutting down those kind of issues. Or this one from Clara Labs, a Therabiotic. Oh, that's not in here. They also have one that's great for IBS, but this is actually Sac Boulardii, which is good for getting rid of bad yeast, can be really helpful with things like SIBO as well. Paleo fiber is great too. This is also great for feeding like some good bacteria in the gut, like Akkermansia, things like that. So another good for butyrate. So butyrate is a short chain fat that we use to help feed the healthy gut. So that's also in there too. So just to keep you guys on your toes a little bit, give you some options. So I'm going to change this back over to the Biologent link if you want to get any of their great products. Just came out with a great GLP-1 supplement. Again, it's not a drug like Ozempic, but it can help support those pathways and help you optimize your blood sugar. So I hope it's been helpful. Hope you guys found this interesting. If you did, please share this out. Put it on your page, private message in the group, or post, whatever. Just write value in the comments below. That's also helpful too. Let me know you found value in this. And as always, the best way to say thank you is to spread the love and share this out. So for those of you who have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always good to get back. We appreciate you. We thank you all for being here. And with that, I will bid you all a farewell and a good night. Let me just get back to my slides, and I will give my ink title slide. Dr. Ketone's on his way out, folks. And as always, comment. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, share. That's all the things we need. And we'll see you again next week, next Tuesday.